Please be my friend. I'm making so much cake. I can't stop making cake. Hey everybody, welcome back to Cooking Sheri. Today we're going to be making coffee cake. A lot of people think that there's coffee in coffee cake or that it tastes like coffee, but it's actually called that because it's a cake that's meant to be enjoyed with coffee. Today we're going to make it with a light fluffy cake, a cinnamon sugar ribbon, and a delicious crumb topping. This cake is in the category of breakfast desserts, which I've kind of always resented because I don't understand why we need to create a category for it to be okay to have cake for breakfast. I think that all desserts are fair game for breakfast. I mean, like, pancakes are okay for breakfast, waffles are okay for breakfast, cake should be okay for breakfast. It's the same amount of sugar. Let's abolish the concept of breakfast desserts and just accept that all desserts are okay for breakfast, okay? Don't feel ashamed, eat your cake, have your coffee, and enjoy the rest of your day. So there's technically 3 layers to this cake. There's the actual cake, a cinnamon sugar ribbon, and the crumb topping. So as we go through this recipe, I'm gonna share the vegan substitutes too. Just go over those because it's super easy one-to-one substitutes so everybody can enjoy this. So for the cake portion of this dessert, we have our ingredients over here. We're gonna start with that. We have some flour, baking powder, baking soda, cornstarch, salt, sugar, sour cream or vegan sour cream, and vanilla, unsalted room temperature butter or vegan butter, eggs or flaxseed eggs. So I mentioned crumb topping. You might be wondering what is the difference between crumb cake and coffee cake, and honestly I had to look it up myself and they are the same cake except that crumb cake has a more substantial crumb to it, and that's actually my favorite part of the cake. So I'm gonna try to make this crummy coffee cake, but it's good. Okay, so we're gonna combine those. So first thing is our softened butter and our sugar. Let's just cream those together. And then we're gonna add our eggs one by one. Beep boop. Straight up butter. And our vanilla. And now we're gonna add our sour cream. Sour cream takes your coffee cake to another level. Sour cream. Yeah! Now that all our wet ingredients are combined, we're gonna work on our dry ingredients. And I'm gonna take a big bowl out and a sifter. So let me explain something. I'm doing something a little bit different. For this dessert, I decided to use cake flour because cake flour has less gluten in it and makes for a much fluffier cake. And for certain cakes like this one, that works really well. So I don't have cake flour, but I do have cornstarch and all-purpose flour, so we can make our own. And it's really cool and super easy. So this step isn't necessary. We're gonna include it in this recipe, but if you use regular all-purpose flour, it's gonna be just as great. Just a little less fluffy. In order to make this cake flour, we're gonna take some of our flour out of here. See, so I measured all the flour that we need, and I'm gonna take 3 tablespoons out, and I'm going to replace that with the same amount that I took out of cornstarch. So 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. And that's pretty much all you have to do. The one last step is to put it through a sifter so that you can aerate this flour, and that's what's going to give it the consistency of cake flour. And to this, I'm going to also add our baking powder, baking soda, and our salt. And there we go. Those are our dry ingredients, and we're just gonna sift them through. And you got your very own cake flour. That's what I love about these cool kind of like substitutes that you can do. You don't have to go out and buy anything specific. You can just make it yourself by combining ingredients that you already have in the kitchen. And now we're just gonna add our And now we're just gonna add our dry ingredients to our wet ingredients and combine. Okay, on low. Don't want to overmix. Little by little. We have our batter ready. Gonna put that to the side. We're gonna take our 8x8 pan that has been lined with parchment paper and is nice and greased. And now it's time for the ribbon part. So I already put it together. It's very simple. It's just a mixture of brown sugar and cinnamon. And we're gonna put half our batter in the pan, put a layer, this just layered on top of that, and then the rest of our batter on top, so that when you cut into the cake, it has a pretty little ribbon in the middle, and it looks all fancy, and it tastes good, and you didn't really do much. And take a little rubber spatula, just make sure. Oh, this looks super fluffy. Ooh. We're gonna just put half that batter in, just eyeball that, spread that to all the edges here. Okay, and now we just sprinkle this cinnamon sugar mixture on top of that. Okay, gotta make sure it's in the little corners, shake it. Okay, and now once you put the rest of the batter on top, it won't mix because you have that barrier of the, you know what I'm talking about, the cinnamon sugar. So we are done with most of our cake. The last part is we're gonna make our topping and then we could put it in the oven. So now I'm gonna gather our ingredients to make our topping. Okay, we have our ingredients set out for our topping. We have some flour, brown sugar, salt, cinnamon, some nuts, and some cubed butter or vegan butter. We're gonna start by just putting our flour, cinnamon, and salt, and the brown sugar. Just gonna combine those. Okay, and we're gonna add some nuts. Now this is totally optional, and a traditional crumb topping usually doesn't have nuts, but I just love this added texture. I like it extra crunchy, so that's what I'm gonna do. Now we're just gonna put our cubed butter in here, and we're gonna wanna just get this crummy. That's why it's called crumb cake, you idiot. Now I'm gonna start with a fork, but I'm just gonna start using my hands pretty soon. We just wanna squeeze the butter and our mixture together until there's nothing dry left. Like we can clump it in our hands like this. Oh, hello. You don't want anything dry, because if you use like anything that's dry on top of your cake, it's gonna be all gross and dry. If you use anything dry, it's gonna be dry. Just the wisdom that I've collected over the years. So dry would be dry. So this is pretty much, yeah, everything's together. Oh, pick this up before freaking Big eats it. A little messy, I'm not freaking out. I'm gonna take our crumb little by little and just, oh yeah, crumb is the best part. So I'm gonna crumble it evenly. What? Okay, we need to like look at this for a second, can we? Look, check it out. Can we see? Can we just see here? Okay. We got cake, we got ribbon, we got cake, we got crumb boulders. This is gonna facilitate your coffee talks. You're gonna gossip, you're gonna talk about your deepest, darkest secrets, you're gonna talk about your biggest dreams. Okay, this is gorgeous already, but why don't we bake it so that it doesn't make us sick? Ew. I don't know if this is good. So our oven is heated to 350 degrees. We're gonna put this in for about 30 to 35 minutes, remembering to rotate halfway through baking time. And then we're gonna take it out, cool it for a little bit, cut into it, eat it. Let's get to baking so we can get to eating.
Excellent!
We are back and we baked the cake. So after 35 minutes, I checked on it. It was still a little jiggly, and that's because it's pretty moist and it's in like a smaller pan, so it took a little bit longer. So yeah, always kind of check. You could put a stick through the middle of the cake, and if it comes out clean, it's done. If it comes out a little wet, it needs a little more time. All right, so it smells beautiful, looks beautiful. I let it cool in the pan for a little bit, and then I took it out of the pan, and now we're just gonna cut it up. So let me cut this into like, I don't know, just cutting into it and hearing that crunch from the top. You know it's gonna be good. Okay. Okay, now I want, ooh, photogenic. Okay, can we like, I always like just eat it before, I don't care. So we have the beautiful ribbon in the middle of the cake, light and fluffy and airy, and that gorgeous crumb on top. Crunchy with pecans, crumbly, buttery. Yeah, baby. Okay, now it's my favorite part. Time to taste. Okay. I want to get the crumb. Oh, this is really great texture, I can tell already. Still a little warm. Let's do this the right way. Okay, you take a bite of your coffee cake. You wash it down with some hot coffee. That's what this was meant for. I really love how light and airy the cake turned out to be. This cake flour that we made, totally worth that extra step if you can do it, because cakes that you get at a bakery and cakes that you make at home, if you've noticed, is like they're a lot lighter and fluffier. That's because most bakeries use cake flour. So if you want to add a little something to your cakes at home and impress your friends, put some cornstarch in your flour. Look who came to join us, and she's sniffing around. She's smelling my mouth. I just had coffee cake, yeah. Biggie approves. Smells good. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, because I'm going to come back next week with another recipe and you're not going to want to miss it. And if you watch these videos, your life will be a little bit better. Well, I know what I'm going to have tomorrow morning for breakfast. An omelet. I'm going to have an omelet.